Before she can blink those big eyes, I'm stabbing her. I stab and stab. I love stabbing.
Sounds like you like stabbing.
This is one of my favorite episodes of New Girl. In this video, I won't be talking about this whole episode though, just one storyline, the Pepperwood storyline.
Peach, if I keep them on, am I a bad boy? Alright, honey, I'll take them off.
I think it's one of the funniest episodes that New Girl has, and in this video, let's explore what makes it so great. So New Girl is a TV show that ran from 2011 to 2018. It was created by Elizabeth Merriweather, and this, in my opinion, is a fantastic sitcom. If you like sitcoms and comedy movies and some guy talking about them, then be sure to hit the subscribe button. So this episode is Season 2, Episode 14, directed by Lynn Shelton. She has also directed episodes for many other sitcoms such as Glow, AP Bio, Love, Fresh Off the Boat, Ghosted, Santa Clarita Diet, The Good Place, Maron, Shameless, Master of None, and The Mindy Project. So it's easy to say that she knew what she was doing when it comes to directing comedy. In this episode, Jess makes a connection with a student in her class.
They did a breakthrough. It's just a whole new world teaching adults.
Nick, though, thinks he's a psychopath and a killer. A psychotic killer, if you will.
This man is psychotic.
It's fiction. There's no such thing as a GIMP costume.
No, GIMP costume is a real
You've
thing.
seen me in one before.
The other storyline is great, don't get me wrong, but we won't be looking at that today. But basically, everyone in the loft finds out that they have a pogo.
You don't think me, Nick, and Jess talk about you behind your back? Because we do. You have more pogos than anyone.
You are completely misusing the word pogo.
So, what makes this Pepperwood storyline so great? Why does it stand out for me, and possibly for you too? Let's dive into it. It starts off with some nice exposition explaining Jess's new job, and then it sets the scene of what this episode is all about, a creative writing student.
And then today you turn in this amazing story. Nick, actually, you should read this.
Writers don't read. Well, you write.
Nick considers himself a writer, and one of my favorite versions of a character is when they are incredibly confident and don't deserve the confidence. This character is seen everywhere, and especially in comedy. Think Michael Scott in The Office or Mr. Bean.
I say that as a writer.
Also not.
A writing class is for somebody who doesn't think lyrically in terms of like poetic words that just are strung.
So Nick reads to the group Edgar's story.
By night, I'm a stalker.
You read it.
He's clearly worried for Jess, which might be justified, maybe not. Comment below if you think it's justified. Is that too obvious that I'm fishing for comments?
It is not safe.
Are you worried about me, Miller?
Yeah, I'm a little worried about you.
So Jess is in the class, and then your boy enters, our favorite, the king himself, Julius Pepperwood, from Chicago.
Thin crust pizza? No, thank you. I'm from Chicago.
Nick tries to investigate Edgar in class and get some clues. This episode starts off great by creating conflict between Jess and Nick.
I'm gonna move closer if you don't
No,
mind.
you don't have to go. Stay over there.
Miller thinks he's a killer, and Day doesn't. I personally prefer the episodes that focus less on the relationship side of character conflicts, like the many times Jess and Nick's story focus on why they can't be together. This gets really old for the viewer. Something lighthearted like Jess being murdered is more enjoyable. That sounded sarcastic, but somehow it's genuinely more lighthearted than a will they won't they storyline.
So what are you saying? Should we just break up?
Now, as a sitcom episode progresses, the stakes need to always be raised. It keeps it interesting. So, how do they first raise the stakes in this episode? In class, Pepperwood sees the drawings in Edgar's book. Now his theory might not be so crazy. As tension increases, typically so does comedy. So Pepperwood tries to grab the evidence, Jess fights him, sprinkling some physical comedy as they fight for the drawings, and the tension increases as Jess books a meeting with Edgar.
What about Wednesday afternoon?
I think other shows undervalue how important raising the stakes are. The difficulty with B, C, and Z plots are they get less time, so shows like Modern Family, that often have like 4 or 5 storylines, struggle to keep raising the stakes for every single one of those storylines. Let's talk about subverting expectations real quick. A thing I appreciate in New Girl is the writers know that the viewer knows the tropes and setups already very well. If a character says blah, then you know the punchline will be blah. There's a million examples of this. Comment below the ones that come to mind. I'm fishing for comments, yes, I know. So the audience has seen enough TV to know this setup punchline combo. Here is New Girl's version.
Nick, what's my one rule?
Do not steal your yarn.
Don't steal my yarn. Man.
Every other show that has that "what's my one rule" has the other character answer with 2 different answers that aren't their one rule. So Jess answering with her rule is somehow subverting expectations. I find it fascinating how this joke has done a full circle.
I'm going to Edgar's house. I'm looking for more proof.
No.
So Pepperwood says he's going to Edgar's house. Tension rises, comedy rises. They arrive at the house and Nick, Pepperwood, goes 100% serious spy mode.
Pepperwood taught me anything.
There's no Pepperwood.
Once again, Pepperwood being so serious and Jess completely contrasting to this is what adds to it. There needs to be some contrast, either between the characters or the setting with the characters. Let's raise the stakes some more.
Edgar lives with his mother.
Of
course he does.
This is sadly unintended relatable humor, as I still live with Mum. Edgar drags a body-like body bag duffel bag from the van. Stakes, guess what? They've been raised. Now Jess and Nick agree with each other.
What was I
Oh my
saying?
god, you were right.
Yes.
It's halfway through the episode, so the stakes need to still increase. The conflict is no longer between Jess and Nick, though, so it needs to switch to be between other characters. They escape, more physical comedy, which is just on point in this episode, let me say. There's a scene about the Pogo storyline, which doesn't affect a story at all, but it does include Jess and Nick.
They make shoes for your penis. They're called pants.
I kind of find this weird. Just separate the story for Schmidt, Winston, and Cece, or have Jess and Nick's A story intersect with the B story, like Modern Family does.
Look, no! She has a boyfriend.
Yeah, me.
No, it's some young guy from the club. Oh boy.
Luke, get your hands off Manny's girlfriend.
That's not my girlfriend.
I am so confused.
It's plain as day. This woman is here to swing with me.
Oh, you're surprised. Before I insulted Modern Family, and now I'm praising it. Well, aren't I a silly sausage? So Nick tries breaking into the shed to find evidence. Good, good. Will something happen there to raise the stakes some more? No, actually. Okay, I'm kidding. Obviously, he sees some evidence that backs up his theory. This video is brought to you by the Apartment 4D podcast. Clearly you like New Girl. The hosts of this show clearly do as well. Probably more than you. They made a podcast about it. Each week they discuss an episode of New Girl. They're funny, and who doesn't love hearing banter about one of your favorite shows? In some episodes they even have interviews with people who worked on New Girl. Want to hear the costume designer talk about dressing not only this sitcom, but also Friends? Listen to the Apartment 4D podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, and Spotify. Now back to Pepperwood from Chicago. Jess and Nick, no conflict, she trusts him. New conflict enters the room. Let's hand feed the writing from the start just a bit.
Great literature is surprising. What's more surprising than killing your main character?
Perfect, very suspenseful. But wait, let's up the ante even more. Pepperwood gets stuck. Jess's safety net. Nick Miller from Chicago. He's gone. Suspenseful music plays in the background.
It's pretty risky. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get away with it.
Edgar says some vague stuff that works for his story he's writing. This is a great scene. They're acting as chef's kiss. You feel worried for her. This isn't one of those episodes where the audience knows more than the character we're following. We know as much as Jess. If we had seen clips of Edgar's home life, this wouldn't really work as well. We wouldn't be nervous because we know he's no threat. Spoiler alert. The fact that the writers didn't show us any more than what Jess and Nick know make it so intriguing and suspenseful.
I heard that song yesterday.
So Jess's phone rings and Edgar realizes that Jess was at his house. Ooh, exciting. He leaves though. So now we need a new conflict.
I'm coming. I am going to protect you.
Perfect. Jess runs into the fight. What's-her-face uses some very vague wording that can provide a misunderstanding joke for later on. The conflict is ended, every setup is answered as it should be, he's a graphic novel artist and he can't draw eyes, even the duffel bag is answered in a later comment.
Want to eat me up?
Yes, I do. I'll meet you inside. I'm going to get the duffel bag.
But hold up, we need a character arc for the episode. Can't just be silly goofballs for 22 minutes, we need the characters to go through a change.
You listen?
Well, of course I listened. You're a good teacher.
So Jess finds out she's a good teacher. This adds a sweet little bow at the end of the episode and it wraps it up. It would have been nice to have a few more reminders of this arc throughout the episode, of maybe, Jess saying something like, hey, I can't do that, teachers don't do that, or something simple. I'll forgive this though, it's the episode's pogo.
Eyes can't be a pogo, okay? My koala claws, now that's a pogo.
Quick joke about something that was mentioned before.
Your son's a really great ringer.
He's not my son.
Oh, are you kidding?
There are some more scenes between Jess and Nick that wraps up the B story about pogos. Nick tries to become healthy, and Jess is referred to as a know-it-all. Schmidt's feet are referenced again,
Where the hell did you come from?
I came from my room.
No, I didn't hear the pitter-patter of your disgusting feet.
and Winston,
Oh, you put up your pup tent.
So, why is this episode so funny? I think it's a few things. Suspense is continually building throughout the whole episode. There isn't a single moment where there isn't suspense on what will happen next, and there is always conflict between the characters.
Traffic really killed me. It killed
Miss Pepperwood.
Did you say that it stabbed you? Say that again?
Either Jess and Nick, or Jess and Edgar. The other reason is the characters take an unserious situation seriously. That's always funny. The first half of the episode, Pepperwood, is convinced that Edgar is a murderer. His deadpan seriousness plays so well. If he was nonchalant about the situation, but still trying to help Jess, I just don't think it would work as well. Typically, it's funny when a character is not serious in a serious situation, or when a character is serious in a situation that's ill-fitted. It's contrast. Contrast elevates comedy, and Season 2, Episode 14 of New Girl does this perfectly. So thank you for watching this episode of Sitcom World. If you love sitcoms and video essays / reviews / hearing some dude talk about them for way too much in way too much detail, then please hit the subscribe button to fuel me to make more videos.